So we're delighted to be joined by former Meath Minor and under-21 star and now Aussie Rules star with Essendon, Cian McBride. Welcome to the show.
Cheers, boys. No, thanks for having me on. Thanks,
How
Cian.
are you getting on now with the lockdown and AFL resuming, but with certain restrictions, I suppose it's hard?
Yeah, look, it's good to get back into action and get stuff back into a bit of routine again. But yeah, look, it's not the easiest when you have the restrictions on you. Like as footballers at the minute, we can't really do an awful lot. We're fairly refined to staying away really from the general public if we can. Just we'd be able to keep the competition up and going. And but like you can still get out for a few hours during the day and get your few bits and pieces done, and we can train away as well. So like it could be a lot worse.
Exactly. And just to start off with yourself, you played for St. Ultan's in Meath. You played Meath Minor. Was it always something in your head that you play minor football for Meath?
Yeah, 100%. Like when you start playing football, that's pretty much the ultimate goal. Like is play for your county, and whatever age group you can play for, you're going to play for, regardless of your age. You're just going to be like, right, that's it. I want to try and get to the best standard of football I can at home, and that was the goal from the very start with me.
And then you were part of quite a successful team. You won the Leinster Minor Football Championship. What was that like?
Yeah, look, that year we had a great bunch of lads together, good team, and ultimately I think we just let ourselves down on winning an All-Ireland. I felt we probably had it in us, but look, winning the Leinster Championship for me was great, and being able to beat the Dubs on the way to it again was just that extra bit special. So I couldn't complain with that.
Yeah, and then you move up to the under-21 rank. Do you start finding yourself, I suppose, not thinking of inter-county straight away, but do you start planning out a career in Gaelic football?
Oh, definitely. Once you make, I always felt from when I made underage Meath teams, this is the stepping stone towards your senior career, and it's all about the work you put in. It's like if you want to put in the work and dedicate yourself to it, you have a very high chance of doing it. And if you don't put in the work, you just won't get there. And that's the choice you have to make at a young age. And ultimately, I felt I was heading in the right direction with that when I made the minor squads and the 20 squads. So,
yeah, just before we move on to your Australian careers, tell us a little more about that extra work you're putting in, and I suppose goals. Do you feel like there were like other players that it's very hard at that age with a lot of options first of all, and then a lot of distractions? Did you feel that? How did you focus really in terms of I really want to make inter-county first of all, and then before the Australian chance came up?
I suppose first things first was sports-wise. Like when I was a kid, I played everything under the sun, from rugby to basketball. I did athletics, swimming, you name it, as a kid. But then as years go on and things get more congested, you kind of have to just narrow your sights a bit. And I ended up picking Gaelic and rugby then for the latter part of my teens. And then come my year minor, then I said to myself, I'm going to pack in the rugby and just kind of focus on Gaelic, because that's where I see myself going. I really did enjoy the rugby and all, but I just didn't know if I could make a career or not, and I didn't know if I'd enjoy it as much as Gaelic, whereas I loved training and playing Gaelic, whereas I just like playing the games more so in rugby. So I kind of just set my sights and said, that's it, like I'm going to put all my energy towards playing Gaelic. And like I just suppose I live close to my local football club, St. Ultan's at home, so it was never too far to go in the evenings, grab a lot of balls and go down and kick a few points or get someone and just practice passing or whatever it may be, just to get down and clear the head too,
That can be quite a difficult choice for people when they're choosing between whether it's soccer, rugby, hurling even, and football nowadays. Did you ever find a bit of pressure on yourself? Were you speaking to people about making a decision like that?
Yeah, look, especially when you're when it comes to the latter stage of my teens, again, there was a lot of pressure on, you have to play this game of rugby, then you have to play this game again. Like it just kind of got too much for me, and I didn't really talk to many people about it. I felt it didn't really matter if I talked to people or not. It was what's what I wanted to do, and what was going to be best for me personally, and I don't think anyone can really tell you what's best for you. You kind of just have to go with your gut feeling on it and say, right, well, this is what I think I should do, and whatever you choose in the end will ultimately be right. If that's what your gut feeling's telling you, it's most likely going to be right, in my opinion. Like.
And then you go up to the under-21 and Meath team. When did the idea, or even had you ever thought, or even someone even mentioned to you the chance of an AFL and to go towards the combine?
I suppose when for a couple of years there, I was 16, 17, 18, there was talk, like, I suppose having Conor Nash go before you, there's a lot of people that say, oh, there's similarities between you. And there's talk and talk, but there was nothing concrete, and kind of that's all it was. It was just talk, and I just didn't really pay too much heed to it until I got asked to go to the combine then around about this time last year. And up until then, it was just purely Gaelic focused, and there was no real. We had a couple of training sessions, I think maybe 3 or 4 last year during the year, but there was no real pressure pulling you between them training sessions. It was, if you had time to come, you came, and if you didn't have time, you just didn't go to them. And like, it was more like I didn't really go out of my way to work hard on it. It was like Gaelic was number one at that time, and that's where all my energy was focused on.
So what was your attitude like going into that combine? It's an experience. It's something that I want to do, and then look, if I do well, I do well, and it's a chance.
Yeah, look, when I got the opportunity, I said to myself, I couldn't turn something like that down. Like, when you're a kid, all you want to do is be a professional sports person, whether it be for soccer, for rugby, for AFL, whatever it was. I kind of felt if I could make a career out of anything professionally, I would do it just to see what it was like. And when the opportunity came, I just said, yeah, like, I'll go and give it a go. So when I was told, I kind of just then set my sights. And when you go to do something like that, you don't want to go doing a half-assed and then go, oh, well, if I had just done that extra bit more, it could have worked out for me. So kind of just turned the sights to it and just went hell for leather then a week or two before I left, and kind of just got myself in a little bit better nick skills-wise and stuff, and just headed out with good ambition.
And can you tell us a little bit of the fitness involved in terms of the fitness trials that were taken? I read a couple of you were doing 2K times, 20-meter sprints, or they were timing a lot of different stuff. What was kind of involved in terms of all those fitness trials that they would mark you guys on?
Yeah, they didn't really give me too much info about them, so I kind of went out with no knowledge of what was going to happen, or didn't really train towards it as such, whereas the boys who from over here who are going to the combine have been training for 5 or 6 months for these type of things. But we went out on the Wednesday and just went through a couple of things. We did 20-meter sprints, and just get them done as quick as you can. And then you have like the agility tests where you have to go in and out of poles and stuff. And then there was a couple of more ones then to finish off that day in the standing vertical jumps and your running vertical jumps, just to get a grip of how well your verts were. And then to finish off the week, then we had a 2K time trial on the Thursday morning, and that really went well for me, along with 1 or 2 other events. So that just helped me along in my process, I suppose.
What was your 2K time at interest, or just so we know the standard we need to get to?
My 2K time trial ended up being 6 minutes and 17 seconds in the combine. So it was like I really surprised myself. I didn't really set any ambition for it. I hadn't done a 2K time trial before, so we used to do them regularly enough in pre-season too, but like each time we go out to do them, it's kind of just the way I think of it is the quicker you run it, the quicker it's over. And like I'm not a fan of it, so it's just get it done as quick as I can.
And when did you start to hear back from them, and then that there could be interest in you, or that you did do well, and did your mind switch then to thinking, oh, here we go, this is a huge opportunity for me?
Yeah, well, when I came home from Australia, after that 2 weeks, I had a couple of offers come home, so it really gave you a lot to think about. Then I then spent the next 2 weeks really trying to decide, well, what am I going to do? But at the back of my mind, again, as I said, it was always an ambition to be a professional sports person, and that really played a major factor in it. As my childhood dreams of being able to do something along the lines of it, it kind of came to fruition. Then I was like, you know what, I think I'm just going to give it a crack, because if I don't, like who knows what could have happened.
And for that decision, did you speak to anyone?
Yeah, that one, I suppose you have to speak to a number of people. You have to speak to a couple of coaches and give them a heads up and ask them maybe what their thought process on it. I talked to a couple of other people then, especially like my parents and different people like that, and kind of got what they felt might be right for me. But at the end of the day, again, it was going to be down to my final decision of what my gut tell me, like, should I go, should I not? And in the end, I just said to myself, I'm going to go give it a crack, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You can always come back home. So that's just the way I looked at it, and luckily enough, I was able to take it with two hands and really give it a good go this year.
You said you had a few offers. What made you choose Essendon?
I suppose just the way they kind of went about it. Like, I suppose having an Irishman before, they kind of knew how to handle it and kind of say the right things possibly, and really just kind of looking after you, making you feel like you're going to get looked after over here, and like anything you need, we're going to try to help you out as best we can. And they just really made you feel like home, when I first came over. So that kind of swayed me towards it.
And how are you getting on at the moment?
Yeah, look, if the year hadn't been so split up, I think I'd been in a lot better position than I am at the minute. But again, you kind of just have to take it as it comes. Like, it's the same for everyone. It's not just me this year that it's affected. It's affected everyone all over the competition, all over the world. So again, just keeping going every day and trying to get that little bit better.
There's a big Irish community, especially within the AFL. Is that something that you've tapped into and maybe met up with, made friends out of the Irish guys there?
Yeah, big time. In Melbourne, I think there could be 10 or 11 of us. So as often as we can, we kind of try and meet up in smaller groups, maybe 3s and 4s. And if we can all get together, all well and good. But we all haven't gotten together as a big group now in a good while. Like, I do keep in contact with an awful lot of the boys, whether it be a FaceTime during the week or a couple of texts every month, and just keep checking in and see how the boys are getting on, because we're all in the same boat, and some of us just haven't been able, like me especially this year, and a couple of us that have come over this year wouldn't have had many opportunities to make friends outside of the club because we've been all over the place this year, and it's just good to have the boys to check in with every once in a while.
Give us a little breakdown of a professional sportsman's week, I suppose. I know it might be a little bit different with the restrictions, but how's a typical week for you in terms of the amount of training you're doing? How do you split up the week?
Yeah, we usually have 2 off days, and then the rest we're on. And when you're on, then you'll have a bit of pitch stuff to do in the mornings, and then you'll come in and do weights. Like, they'll switch sometimes weights is first, pitch in the afternoon, and then throughout the day, then you have like your line meetings for forwards and backs, and you'll have team meetings and different bits and pieces, and then your recovery, of course, comes into play then throughout the day or at the end of the day, whether it be hots and colds or like getting the masseuse to give you a going over or whatever it may be, to just have you ready for the next day.
And how did you find moving over with the skills of Gaelic football? And how did you feel you adapt? I suppose the big thing being the different size ball to start with.
Yeah, look, it's at the start it's hard. It is. I thought it was going to be easier. I thought there was a lot of skills that would just flick over and it wouldn't be a problem. But again, I thought one of the hardest things was being able to try to catch the ball again. It's just a lot different than you'd think. You'd look at it and just go, like, it is a ball. You've been catching the ball, no problem for all the years, and all of a sudden you just get a different ball, and it's actually a lot harder than it looked. But again, when you have so much time to practice, it just makes it that bit easier to switch it up and get going with it again. And it's not really too bad then.
What are some of the big similarities then you'd find with the inter-county game and even some of the training schedules that you'd have, and what's the commitment like? You always hear this about, our inter-county players are given full commitment even being amateurs. Would that be a fair comment?
Massively. I feel that we do very similar workloads. Like, there wouldn't be too much, I wouldn't think, in the workloads that inter-county players do and AFL players do. It's just the Gaelic players have to cram it into such a short time, whereas we have all day, every day to do it, and they just have the evenings to do it. And like, they don't get enough credit for that. I feel like they work all that hard. They work very, very hard on all their skills, and they have to push all that into a small time frame, whereas we get all day to do it, and we get extra help from this, that, and the other. And like there's a lot of similarities in that sense. Yeah.
Did you, before you went over, did you realise how big Aussie Rules is in Australia?
No, I don't really think I thought it through that much. As in, I didn't think it was going to be as big as it is. Like in Melbourne, it's like Gaelic at home. It's like a religion. Everyone eats, sleeps, and breathes it, and it's just so powerful there. Like everyone gets into it and really gets going. So,
is that something that you kind of found difficult at the start, or is it because of the restrictions and stuff? You haven't had that much communication with outside the AFL network.
Oh look, like I suppose at the start of the year we got a little bits of glimpses where you got to go on like community camps and you go and do all these different bits and pieces. But I suppose I missed out on a lot this year then with different events and stuff that you'd be going to and meeting different people that you can't do this year obviously. But no, like look, it's all to look forward to again next year. So like I'm happy enough with it.
And what's next for you, or what's the goals now over the next few months in terms of giving this a go? And any plans, or have you set yourself targets, or is it a case of taking it day by day?
I had set myself targets at the start of the year, but I suppose once the year kind of went belly up, you kind of have to reassess. And I feel like setting targets now for me was unrealistic, so I kind of just go about it day by day. But like again, my goals don't really change, as in I still want to try and make a debut at some point this year, and I want to try and better myself as a player and try and understand the game just that bit more, and have myself in a really good position then for next year to really try and make a breakout.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you're targeting a debut. What other games have they like an A team that you play with regularly, or a U team, or how does it work?
Yeah, at the minute there's usually an AFL team, which is your first, and then your VFL team would be a reserve team. But the VFL competition obviously got pulled because that's a Melbourne-based situation. So as at the minute we're up here and we're kind of playing like scratch matches. So like the first team will be playing on a Saturday, but on a Saturday morning, then we might go and play 12v12 against the other team's reserves as well, and instead of 18v18, which again makes it a lot harder, but it's a good challenge, and I like that too.
What position have they put you in?
I'm fullback at the minute, so I kind of had the choice of where I would like to try and start and get going, and they had put me in the forwards at the start, but I kind of just felt I wouldn't mind giving the fullback a try, and I kind of just fell in love with it then and was like, right, this is kind of where I want to try and make my mark.
Is it a similar role to Gaelic games?
Yeah, I suppose it's similar enough, as in you're not going to be up the other end of the field, not the way the systems play, but again, it's just a lot more physical off the ball and kind of reading the ball coming in and trying to wrestle your way through. And that's probably the hardest thing I've found coming over, and something that we need to work on a little bit more this year and next. So
I suppose the hardest thing would be that, people can just kick it over your head for a goal, I guess. You know what I mean? Whereas in GA, it's kind of on you a little bit. Fullback's probably a lot more, I don't know the word, but maybe you're exposed a little bit more in the sense that they could just knock over 6 or 7 goals over your head.
Exactly, and that's why it's a little bit more connection based, where everyone needs to pull the exact amount of weight, and if someone slips up, then it kind of leaves everyone exposed. So like it's a real team and connected sport. No more, I suppose, than Gaelic, but you really need everyone clued in, or if someone lets someone slip, then we're all in trouble. Especially me.
What's some of the stuff you may be missing from home, or did you ever find yourself kind of homesick, especially during the lockdown? And did you ever find yourself thinking, potentially I could go back? Or
yeah, look, I suppose you're always going to have that element of homesickness, especially, and like I feel if I was in Melbourne, I probably wouldn't have been as bad this year, because you've been able to get out and do all these bits and pieces and see new people and do new things, whereas now you're kind of cooped up in a hotel room for most of the evening, and there's not really an awful lot to do, so you're kind of more time to yourself. And I feel when you spend more time by yourself, then you kind of start thinking about more bits and pieces at home, thinking, like if I was at home, I'd be out with a few of the lads now, or I could do this, or I could do that. Whereas if you're kept busy, it kind of just keeps your mind off it,
Well, Cian, listen, you've been great with your time. We'll just run through a couple of quick fire questions. So,
yeah,
your favorite Meath footballer of all time?
Favourite Meath footballer of all time? Oh, I suppose my idol probably would have been John McDermott. So,
Very
yeah.
good. Your favourite stadium you've ever played in?
It'd have to be Croke Park, hands down.
Beating the Dubs. Did you beat the Dubs in Croke
Yeah.
Park? Actually? Yeah. Jeez.
No, we beat them in
Parnell.
Park Talton, but that's just nearly the same.
The toughest opponent you've ever played?
Toughest opponent would probably be, I suppose, Paul Walsh or Paul Kelly from Galway in the Ireland semi-final that day. He was fairly good that day. No, he's definitely tough.
Your favorite team or your best teammate you've ever played with? Tough one now. So that you've got your AFL lads listening, you've got your Meath lads listening. So,
look, I suppose you have so many boys you've played with, be it club, school, county. But like if I had to pick one, I suppose best connection wise, I suppose me and Matthew Costello, I'd always love playing with Matthew, just knowing like you'd always get that 100% off him, and I always enjoyed playing with him. I felt like we had a very good connection when we played. So
perfect. So the two last ones. So best advice you've ever gotten?
Best advice I've ever gotten was whatever's for you won't pass you by. So if you want something and it doesn't come to you, it didn't come to you for a reason. So whatever comes is for a reason.
And then the one we're asking everyone because of the lockdown and whatever is the best Netflix series you're watching at the minute?
The best Netflix series I watched, I think, was Prison Break, and I don't think anything's been able to beat it. It was very, very good watch.
Yeah. And listen, other TV streaming services are available, Sean. So just to make that
clear,
but not just Netflix.
Exactly.
Cian, listen, you've been great with your time. We're going to keep an eye on you with your AFL career, and maybe when you do make your debut, we'll get you back on the show. So thanks for joining us.
Perfect. Cheers.
Pleasure,
Thanks, lads. Good luck.